Today, I'm taking 100 Yuan to a supermarket in a small Chinese city to see what I can buy. Hello, I'm Hanghang. I'm 32 years old and I'm 350,000 yuan in debt. I'm just an ordinary person living in a fifth-tier city in China. When I opened the refrigerator this morning, I realized it was almost empty. Since I have some time today, I've decided to go to the supermarket and buy some groceries and daily necessities. And while I'm there, I want to show you how much 100 yuan can buy in our small city. Late July is the hottest time of the year here in Jincheng. When you ride a bike outside, even the wind blowing against you feels hot. I had only been riding for a short while, and I was already starting to sweat. There are lots of small stores like these along the road. This is where I usually buy things. But today, I'm going to a larger supermarket in our area. The food there is usually a little fresher, and they have a wider selection. So I should be able to find everything I need in one place. This supermarket is called Duo. It's a chain supermarket and it's very common in our area. Of course, it can't compare with a major chain like Walmart, but for people like us, it's more than enough. Let's start with a pumpkin. Some people here call this kind of pumpkin jingua or golden pumpkin. It costs 1.58 yuan per jin. 1 jin is a Chinese unit equal to about 1.1 pounds. I don't go to supermarkets very often, so I don't really have much experience choosing pumpkins. I usually just check whether there's any obvious damage on the outside and try to choose one that looks as intact as possible. After all, we can't finish a pumpkin like this in one meal. It'll have to sit at home for a while after I buy it. Carrots contain a lot of vitamins. So I'm going to buy some. The name of these carrots is a little strange. They're called mud carrots. Is that because they're completely covered in soil? The carrots cost 1.59 yuan per jin. You don't really know how to choose carrots either. They all look pretty much the same to me. So I'll just pick a few that look good. When you buy carrots, is there anything in particular you look for? Wow, these potatoes are huge. We've also run out of potatoes at home, so I'm going to buy a few more. Potatoes don't spoil easily, and I can add some whenever I'm cooking. But these potatoes are covered in a lot of dirt, so I need to clean some of it off. Even though they're relatively cheap at 1.18 yuan per jin, I still believe in saving wherever I can. We haven't had any meat at home recently either. My child is still growing and needs proper nutrition, so I still buy things like meat and eggs quite often. This is all lean pork. It costs 13.98 yuan per jin. It all looks pretty good. I don't like buying pork. That's too fatty. I would have to deal with the extra fat after getting home, and my child doesn't like eating it either. I'll just choose a piece. The supermarket can also cut the meat however you want. I only need to tell the employee how I want to cook it, and they'll prepare it for me. For someone like me who isn't very good at handling meat, this really makes things much more convenient.
这个是个2300多，2-3个小时吧。这个待机它不是很长。
We suddenly remembered that my child has been asking for shujuabing recently, a kind of crispy Chinese flatbread. He used to think that buying one outside wasn't too expensive because it only cost a little over 10 yuan. But this bag contains 10 pieces and it only costs 11.98 yuan. That's enough to make 10 shujuabing. So it's much more economical. After I take them home, I can make them for my child several times. I'm also going to buy a bag of dumplings for my mother. When she's at home and doesn't have time to cook, she can simply boil some and eat them. It's very convenient.
多拿点是吧？哦，好了。
This bag costs 32.99 yuan. It looks like there are quite a lot inside, so it should be enough for several meals.
哦，给我吃完了。多拿点啥？单菜的怎么吃？这是30。
When I buy eggs, I usually buy them loose. They're cheaper than the eggs that come in cartons, and I don't feel there's much difference between them. The cartons just look a little nicer. With loose eggs, I can also choose exactly how many I want to buy. The eggs cost 5.28 yuan per jin. That feels a little expensive to me right now, so I'll only buy a few. Here, when eggs are at their cheapest, they cost just over 3 yuan per jin. When you live in the countryside, mosquitoes and other insects often get into the house. So I need to buy some insect spray. That way, my child can sleep more comfortably at night. I also bought some tofu and a few other things we need at home. None of these things looks very expensive on its own. But once you add everything together, it's a different story. That's also why I'm so sensitive about spending money now. A lot of the time, it isn't that one particular thing is especially expensive. It's that every item feels like something you might as well buy while you're here. Then, when you add everything together, you realize you've gone over your budget. Since mobile payments became common in China, most of the time, we only need to scan a code to pay. It's very convenient. The total came to 131.52 yuan. I went a little over budget, even though none of the things I bought was very expensive. Together, they still added up to quite a lot. Let me show you everything I bought today. It really does look like quite a lot.
$100买了这么多东西。
My mother usually does the cooking, but since I have some time today, I'm going to cook a meal for my family myself. When I was a child, my parents often had to work in the fields. Sometimes they came home late, and my mother still had to hurry and cook for us. I learned how to cook when I was young because I didn't want my mother to work so hard. And the more I cooked, the more I slowly began to enjoy it. After I grew up, I became busy with work, so I often had no choice but to eat outside. It wasn't until I went into debt that I realized again that money really shouldn't be spent carelessly. So now, whenever I have time, I try to cook at home. Every little bit I can save matters. Wheat-based foods are a local specialty here. Today, I'm making hand-pulled noodles. Kneading the dough takes some skill. You can't add too much water or too little. You need the right amount, so the dough comes together properly without becoming sticky or being too dry to form. Even though I already told my mother that I would cook today's meal, she still helps me from the side. Sometimes she helps me prepare the ingredients. Sometimes she reminds me when it's time to add water. She won't take over and cook the whole meal for me, but she always finds a way to make things a little easier. That's how my family has always been. Whenever one person has something to deal with, everyone else naturally lends a hand, and we solve it together. No one needs to be specifically told what to do. Everyone already knows how they can help. I really like this kind of family atmosphere. The dough needs to rest for a while now. While I'm waiting, I'll cook the vegetables that will go with the noodles. That way, by the time the dough is ready, the vegetables will be ready too. What do you think? Doesn't that look delicious? I'm always a little clumsy when I make noodles. I'm nowhere near as good as my mother. But as long as they cook properly in the end, the shape really isn't that important. This is how we normally eat. It's just a simple bowl of noodles. We don't cook lots of separate dishes. It tastes pretty good. I'd say the noodles turned out very well this time. I went over my 100 yuan budget today, but I still think the money was well spent. The ingredients I brought home are enough for several meals. If we go out for hot pot or just eat at a restaurant, it can easily cost more than 100 yuan or even 200 yuan for one meal. But at the supermarket, the same amount of money can buy a large bag of ingredients. And those ingredients can become several hot meals for the whole family. In the past, whenever I spent money, it was easy to see it as nothing more than a number. But after going into debt, I started thinking one step further. What did I actually get in return for this money? And was it really worth spending? All right. That's it for today's video. I'm Hanghang. If you like my channel, please subscribe. In the next video, I'll continue showing you the ordinary parts of life in China's small cities. They may look unremarkable, but they're things every family takes seriously. See you next time.